Vish Malhotra, hi bro, hi, thanks for joining in. Are you ready for game week 21? It's not that long until the deadline, 2 hours, 21 minutes. Let's put up a poll as well. Let's see. So let's have a look at the captain poll today as well. So I had a similar poll up yesterday for like 60 minutes. Erling Haaland, he was by far the favorite yesterday. So let's see how this turns out today. So even though 3 consecutive blanks, Erling Haaland was the favorite. FPL Lisa, hi, thanks for joining in. Hello, TFS. Thanks for joining in. I have set my team. Okay, let's start by having a look at Vish Malhotra's team. So if you're interested in having your team reviewed, head over to X, find this post. Let's see how it looks. Game week 21 deadline stream. Post your picture like Vish have done. So let's see. I did Raya to Verbruggen, O'Reilly to Gabriel. I have 0.4 in the bank and 3 free transfers. Any other changes? So this is the team. 3 free transfers. Verbruggen is in for Raya. Gabriel is in. So triple Arsenal, Timber, Gabriel, Saka, Bruno G. Rogers, Phil Foden. Up front, Erling Haaland, Ekitike, and Igor Thiago. Michele, King, and Richards on the bench. So Ekitike, I'm not sure what to take from the comments from Arnie Slot on Ekitike. So he was They took a scan and they found that he had pulled his hamstring a bit. So he wasn't really sure if he was going to make it for game week 21, but he was hopeful. So I think that Ekitike will play some minutes in game week 21. Will he start? I'm not really convinced that Ekitike will start, and even if he starts, it's a really tough game. Things that having Ekitike in could be genius for game week 22 home fixture against Burnley. So I think it's probably the best play to just save the transfer. Vish Malhotra, just keep Ekitike in. Other than that, I think your team looks really good. Makes sense to have Verbruggen on the bench with Dubravka in goal. Arsene Wenger, I can't decide if I want to play Ekitike or Anderson. I think I would. The risk with Ekitike is, of course, if he just plays 20 minutes, it's highly likely that he will get only 1 point, right? Well, Anderson, he can potentially pick up defensive contribution points, so I think if you have at least 2 Arsenal defenders, I think I actually will go for Ekitike on the bench this game week. We discussed this on the Q&A yesterday as well with something similar, but it was Lewis Miley, the Newcastle midfielder. So we ended actually on that starting Lewis Miley probably is the better play this game week compared to start Ekitike. So Ekitike, it's actually a big dilemma this game week because of the fixture in game week 22 for Liverpool at home against Burnley. Yellow flag, tough game, but a really good game in game week 22. I know it feels really weird having 9 million on the bench, of course, but with these circumstances, with the fact that he's actually yellow flagged, toughest game of the season. But so with Wish Malotra's team, I think seeing that you only have Michele available on your bench, seeing that you have Igor Thiago in your team, so if you bench Ekitike, you will have to play Michele. So Igor Thiago against Michele will cancel each other out. So with this team, with like Wish Malotra's team is on the screen at the moment, I think I would start Ekitike. So still 3 free transfers, 0.4 in the bank for Wish Malotra, but I really think that saving a transfer this game week, having 4 free transfers heading into game week 22 could be really, really valuable. So 2 free transfers, 0.1 in the bank. Is this -8 worth it? Let's see if we can get both the message and the team in the picture. Something like that. 2 free transfers, 0.1. Is this -8 worth it? Hincapi, Minte, King, and Ekitike to Shalaba, Rice, Bruno Guimaraes, and Obi. Thanks. So let's see. So you're swapping your father, Josh King, to Obi. So going for a 3-5-2. Hincapi out, Minte out, Ekitike out, Shalaba, Rice, Bruno Guimaraes, and Obi. I like the transfers. I actually like switching to a 3-5-2 as well. There are a lot of good midfielders available, while up front, I think the options are not that great. So I like the team structure with having 2 starting forwards. The thing is that Ekitike out. I think if you think that Ekitike will be benched, it's probably fine to sell him. You might regret this in game week 22, of course, but hopefully your replacements in Bruno Guimaraes and Rice can make up for the Ekitike points in game week 22. I think that Liverpool, they have the toughest game of the season in game week 21, and they have the easiest game of the season in game week 22. But is this enough to keep a yellow flagged Ekitike? -8. It's a lot though, so tough start to the game week with -8, but you will get in Rice, you will get Bruno Guimaraes, solid Chelsea defender. They have some tasty fixtures coming up, so even if it's for a -8, I think if you believe in those moves, I say just go for it. Hopefully we'll be able to save a couple of transfers in the upcoming game weeks after making those moves. The thing is that the reason why I think it's okay to take a hit with this team is actually the fact that your bench is not really good for game week 21 as well, and we might get some surprises ahead of game week 21 considering the quick turnaround. So we have seen this before, right? I will have to bench Shirky though after that -8. So Obi will definitely be on the bench. He will have Rice and Bruno G. I would have to bench Shirky. I wouldn't bench Ryan Shirky in game week 21. I think it's a really good fixture for Man City, and of course there might be some rotation, but we have nothing confirmed on Shirky not starting. So considering the form, he can, of course, if he starts on the bench, he can deliver attacking returns if he only plays 25-30 minutes. So I think I would lean towards benching one of your defenders. Obi on the bench. Start your midfielders. Start Erling Haaland and Thiago. I would go for Timber, Hincapi, and Tarkovsky. Collins, you will actually have a really solid team this game week if you make those moves. You will have a small benching headache, but I think I would start Shirky, to be honest. If not Shirky, then it's either Timber, Tarkovsky, Collins, or Shalaba on the bench. I think probably Collins for me, if you have to bench one of those. Hi mates, would you play Ekitiki or play Luke Shaw? I'm also playing Dalot. I think I would take the risk with Ekitiki rather than playing Luke Shaw, to be honest, because you already have Dalot doubling up on Man United defense. I think I probably would avoid this, and seeing that Ekitiki, he might actually start. We haven't got the confirmed news that he definitely will be out for game week 21, so start Dalot and Ekitiki with Luke Shaw on the bench, in my opinion. I could just keep Hincapi and Minte and save 8 points. Considering that you will have a benching headache, it's probably worth it to just do the first 2 moves. Pretty tricky. So if you're able to do Josh King and Ekitike to Obi and Rice. Josh King, Ekitike, Obi, Rice. You definitely can afford this move. Ekitike is more expensive compared to Rice as well, so this will give you some funds in the bank, and you're not starting the game week with -8. So to avoid the benching headache, I think I would just do those moves, to be honest. Yeah, I can do King and Ekitike to Obi and Bruno. Can't get Rice, of course. Already 3 Arsenal, so it's Bruno, Jim Rice, King and Ekitike to Obi and Bruno, Jim Rice. I think this makes sense. Rice can potentially wait a game week if you really want him. It's not like Liverpool, of course, haven't delivered as expected this season, but it's not like this is the easiest game. Liverpool, they have some really good players, of course, and in a big game like Arsenal versus Liverpool, they might actually decide to show up. So let's see. Adamak, start Kelleher or Dubravka. I think I would start Kelleher in game week 21. At home against Sunderland. They have actually been really good recently, Brentford, so I think I will go for Kelleher this game week. Alderete or Michele. I heard Ballard is back. Yeah, Ballard, he actually got some minutes in game week 20. So Michele will be moved to right. Is that true? Yeah, I think Michele potentially is the best option from the Sunderland defense at the moment, considering that Ballard, he is actually back. He played in game week 20. He is one of their most impactful players and will probably start most games going forward unless he picks up other injuries. So start Ekitike or Wilson. Also Guehi or Ekitike, Wilson first sub. I think the Ekitike question, I think it kind of depends on how many Arsenal defenders you have. If you have a double up on the Arsenal defense, I would actually be tempted to just have Ekitike on the bench. I know I have said this a couple of times. It feels wrong having 9 million on the bench, but if you only have one or no Arsenal defenders, I would start Ekitike. And I will. So Ekitike in the starting 11, Wilson first sub. 2 main ones, 1 bench, Cash, Michele or Jared Bowen. Well, I would definitely not bench Jared Bowen, so it's between the 2 defenders. So, considering that Aston Villa, they are actually a pretty solid team. They have done well recently. He can deliver attacking returns, so I think I would go for Jared Bowen and Cash in my starting 11 with Michele on the bench. Especially if you have Igor Thiago, I would bench my Sunderland defender. I also need advice. I also need to decide whether Michele and Cole Palmer is better than Chalobah and Bruno Fernandes. For this game week, Palmer is probably the best option. We haven't had the press conference from Fletcher, the interim Man United manager, yet, but The latest reports from Man United camp is that Bruno Fernandes actually could be able to play some minutes in game week 21, and I definitely think that he can be ready for game week 22. So for game week 21, Cole Palmer definitely the best option, but from game week 22 and onwards, Bruno Fernandes is back on the menu. But of course, really good fixtures for Chelsea as well. Starting this game week, the fixtures for Chelsea, they actually get even better from game week 24 and onwards. So they have a good run of fixtures coming up. And I will definitely try to look at a way to get in Bruno Fernandes and Cole Palmer for my team. So at the moment, I actually have Saka and Phil Foden. I will probably sell them both to bring in Cole Palmer and Bruno Fernandes. Mark, thanks for joining in. Why should you not start players who play against each other? So having player play against each other, there are actually two reasons why this is bad. So if you have a forward playing against one of your other forwards, it's probably not the worst situation. But if you have your midfielders and forwards playing against your defenders, they will most probably cancel each other out. So if your forward scores, your defender will not get a clean sheet. And if your defender gets a clean sheet, this means that your forward actually blanked. So another thing that it's not that common to talk about is that if you have a lot of players in the same fixture, they are actually fighting for the same bonus points as well. So if you have like 5-6 players playing in the same fixture, the odds for them to pick up additional bonus points are not really good. So those two are the main reasons why we should avoid having players play against each other. So hopefully that's a good answer to your question, Mark. Yeah, I'm thinking for game week 22 and onwards, getting Mukiele now will mean I can get Palmer later, but getting Chalobah now means I can only get Bruno Fernandes. Yeah, right. So you have to actually make the decision this game week. I think in your position, if you can't afford choosing between Bruno Fernandes and Cole Palmer, it's not that much between Chalobah and Mukiele. Really good option, Mukiele as well. Of course, Chelsea, I would be really tempted to bring in one of their defenders. I was actually in a similar position a couple of game weeks ago. I really wanted to bring in Collins, but this would mean that I could not upgrade Raul Jimenez to Jared Bowen. So I actually went for Vandenberg, the other defender from Brentford. He's currently on my bench. I might actually put Vandenberg in my starting 11 instead of Van de Ven, but we haven't really gotten any concrete news about Vandenberg's availability. He was in the squad for game week 21, but he didn't play any minutes. A bit of a surprise, but things that he might actually get 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the game. So I think I will probably just start Van de Ven. Playbell, thanks for joining in. I made Raya to Sanchez and Anderson to Gabriel at last. Yeah, I think those are really good moves. I have been talking about the Chelsea fixtures. Really good from this game week, but actually even better from game week 24. So I think that they will pick up some clean sheets. It just looks like someone else has taken Vandenberg's spot. Probably because there wasn't any rumor about any injuries and wasn't really mentioned in the press conference. So it's probably, as Uchida Dan is saying, that it's actually just out of favor at the moment. So at some point, potentially he can become an option if they get injuries or if someone loses form. But at the moment, I don't really trust Vandenberg. I really wish I went for Collins, but as mentioned, I was in a similar position and I had to go Vandenberg to afford Raul Jimenez to Jared Bowen. I could have waited with that Raul Jimenez to Jared Bowen move. Did it last game week, and actually Raul Jimenez picked up an assist, so we actually matched or outscored Jared Bowen last game week. It's 50-50 really. A -4 hit for Raya to Sanchez and Soboslai to Rice. Yeah, I think this is a really good long-term move and probably worth -4 in my opinion. Playable. Now, next week I'm 50-50 about what to do. Option number 1, Enzo in for Semenyo. An option 2, Saka to Rice. And Semenyo to Cole Palmer for a -4. Oh. Saka to Rice. Semenyo. Of course, Enzo Fernandez in for Semenyo, avoiding the -4. Probably the safest option, avoiding the -4, but having both Rice and Cole Palmer, I think I'm actually leaning towards the -4 hit, to be honest. I think Cole Palmer will be a really good asset to own going forward. So why not take the -4, have some fun, go for Rice and Cole Palmer. Hey man, do you think I should play Grealish this game week? So if you have Grealish in your team, I definitely think that he should start unless you have other really good options on your bench. So the fixture can't be much better for Everton playing at home against Wolves. He looked good in GW21 as well, 2 assists. So yeah, play Grealish. Long term, I'm not sure what's better, Rice and Palmer or Saka and Enzo. At the moment, I would definitely go Rice and Cole Palmer. If the first option is better, I think the -4 long term will pay off. Yeah. I think Rice is just really, really good value. His price has probably gone up. Is it 7.3 or 7.2? But considering that he is on set pieces, will most probably continue picking up defensive contribution points as well. Can score goals, can get assists from open play as well as set pieces. While Cole Palmer is the first choice penalty taker in a lovely run of fixtures for Chelsea. So let's have a quick look at my transfer plans as well. So I will probably save a transfer this game week and have 3 free transfers heading into game week 22. I will probably sell Igor Thiago. He will play against Chelsea in game week 22. My goalkeeper will probably sell Saka as well. And Dorgu. Let's see. Remove. My replacements. Cole Palmer. Gabriel will have 4.4 million for replacement, and this will be Barnes, only priced at 4.2. Yeah, let's see. We have a long time till next game week. Anyways, goodbye, brother. Thanks for joining in, Playbill, and best of luck for game week 21. We'll catch up ahead of game week 22. Would you guys play Thiago or Jared Bowen? Ooh, I think benching one of them feels a bit wrong ahead of game week 21, considering the fixtures both play at home. But I think I would lean towards benching Jared Bowen if you have to bench one of them. This is mostly because of the hat-trick scored in game week 20. He will be full of confidence heading into game week 21 home fixture against Sunderland. They have actually looked a bit tired recently, especially in the second half. So I think I definitely would play Igor Thiago this game week. But after saying that, I'm actually considering to sell Thiago after game week 21. The thing is that he is one of the most transferred in players ahead of game week 21. You can see in my graphics I have actually put Thiago in twice. Kitiki is the most sold player, Phil Foden, and then we have Guardiola on that list as well. So if I were to bring in one of those players this game week, it would probably be Jared Bowen, but considering you already have both of them, if I were to bench one in game week 21, it would probably be Jared Bowen as well. Home game against Sunderland, hat-trick in game week 20, full of confidence. Sunderland have looked a bit tired, so makes sense starting Igor Thiago. So let's head over to X to see if there are any new teams posted. So if you're interested in having your team reviewed, head over to X, post a picture of your team under this post. Get your team on the screen. So let's see what's happening over at X. 4 hours ago from Fabrizio Romano, Ruben Diaz will be out for 6 weeks with a hamstring. Ooh, not good news for Man City this. Ralph Sutton, hi TFS. What should I do with Ekitike and Soboslai? I think at least one of them should be sold ahead of the Arsenal fixture. The thing is that it's a bit hard deciding on the Liverpool players this game week, right? Because of the fixture in game week 2 at home against Burnley, but it's probably okay to bench Ekitike this game week and have him ready for next week. The thing is that he is actually a risk for game week 21, of course, considering the yellow flag, but how much would you have in the bank for a Szoboszlai replacement? I think I would consider if you have like an open Arsenal spot and something in the bank. I would be really tempted to do something like Szoboszlai to rise this game week. So Diaz confirmed to be out. Heisenberg asking United fans for updates on Dorgu. Let's see. He'll start Dorgu. This is just my opinion. FPL Fortune saying that Dorgu might be benched. I think Shaw will play left back. There's no way a new manager comes in and starts a left wing back at the right wing. It was ridiculous in the first place, and I'm sure he was only doing it to prove a point to the board. He will play. So mixed opinions on Dorgu ahead of this game week. Dorgu will be benched. We don't have any first team wingers. If Fletcher switches to a back four, my guess is Dorgu starts at right wing. So mixed opinions on Dorgu ahead of game week 21. I think I would just start Dorgu, to be honest, because the picture is so good. I will sell him ahead of game week 22. So this is hopefully he can give a parting gift before leaving. Radu Gavriluta, is Bruno back? We haven't got this confirmed yet, but the latest information from Old Trafford is that he might potentially get minutes in game week 21. My guess is that he's definitely back for game week 22. We might get some information in like 12 minutes from the Man United camp. I think the press conference will start at 17. Let's see. have 7.8 in the bank for a Szoboszlai replacement. I think Rice is a great shout. I think I would consider something like Szoboszlai to Rice. Play Rice this game week, just bench Ekitike if you have solid cover on your bench, and then have Ekitike potentially as a captain punt ready for game week 22. The thing is that there is a gap between game week 21 and game week 22, so close to 2 weeks between those two deadlines. It's a bit luxury compared to what we got used to now during December with midweek deadlines back to back. So I think that we will have more information ahead of game week 22. So Szoboszlai to Rice, I think this transfer makes sense. Arsenal at home against Liverpool, I think this actually is a solid fixture for Arsenal as well. So Ashantrux, hi mates, hi. Thanks for joining in. Let's see, bench 2, Chalobah, Ballard, Nunes, Guehi, and Gravenberch. I think I would. I think that Ballard, it kind of depends on Thiago. Considering I have Wilson and Thiago, I think I would avoid starting Ballard. I would like to have him on my bench considering Igor Thiago. I think I probably would bench both of them. Start Nunes, Guehi, and Gravenberch. I think that I don't really think this is a good game for attacking returns for Gravenberch, but he has a really good potential for defensive contribution points at least. So you will avoid having Ballard and Chalobah play against Harry Wilson and Igor Thiago. So I think it makes sense benching those guys in game week 21. So this is my team at the moment. I haven't made any transfers ahead of this game week. I have 2 free transfers. My plan is to save and have 3 free transfers heading into game week 22. I have solid cover on the bench. Elliot Anderson against West Ham. Of course, Gravenberch playing against double Arsenal defense. I think I would start Chalobah, to be honest, because Chelsea, they are the better team. So it probably makes sense to bench Ballard and Gravenberch, seeing that you have a double up on Arsenal. Nunes should start home fixture against Brighton. Guehi, of course, not the best fixture, but the thing is that Guehi definitely nailed on to start. Home fixture. Of course, not the easiest game. Aston Villa, they are in fine form, but so Chelsea, of course, they might keep a clean sheet against Fulham. So probably makes sense to start Shalaba in this one. So Ballard, Gravenberch on the bench will probably be my final answer on that one. One minute. Let me know if you have any questions. Head over to X if you're interested. Same handle as on YouTube. Post a picture of your team and we'll get it up on the screen and discuss it. So on the screen at the moment, it's my team. I have 0.2 in the bank, 2 free transfers. My plan is actually to just save a transfer, start this team. The captaincy is currently on Erling Haaland. He is a big favorite this evening as well. 78 points for Erling Haaland, 10 for Igor Thiago. Cunha 7%, while 5% for other. just realized there's something wrong with my graphics on the stream. Not really sure what has happened, but I actually have Brighton on top for predicted clean sheets, and that's definitely not the case ahead of game week 21. Holland is the favorite against Brighton, Thiago against Sunderland, Cunha third against Burnley with 39%. But when it comes to top 3 clean sheets, I'm not really sure what has happened. It's probably from the wrong game week. Yeah, sorry about that. So I will see if I can find the real numbers. Collins or Vandenberg? Definitely Collins at this point. There are actually some rumors about Vandenberg losing his spot. So Collins, even though he is a bit more expensive, I think I would definitely go for Collins if you want to bring in a Brentford defender. It's not just because Collins did well in game week 20. It's mostly because the fact that Vandenberg, he was actually in the squad, so no injury for Vandenberg, at least from what we know. The rumors are that he actually was just benched for game week 20. The reason why I went Vandenberg instead of Collins, I actually wanted Collins back in game week 18 when I brought him in, but the reason why I went for Vandenberg was that this would allow me to upgrade Raul Jimenez to Jared Bowen last game week, so I needed the funds from going Vandenberg instead of Collins. But if I were to bring in one of those defenders in game week 21, it would definitely be Collins. I will try to upgrade the graphics. Everton against Wolves. We have Brentford against Sunderland. And as usual, actually, even though the fixture is against Liverpool, Arsenal, they are top 3 for anytime clean sheets. Arsenal. Okay, so top 3 most transferred in. I need to update that one as well. Rice is number 3. Playing against Arsenal at home. So what I'm doing at the moment is actually to update the graphics. I just realized there were a couple of mistakes in the graphics. I had Igor Thiago named twice in the top transferred in, and actually had the wrong numbers for the clean sheet. So I just updated this and we'll post the new graphics in a minute. It's either Tarkovsky to Collins, and then I can get Krupi Jr. for the bench and maybe be able to upgrade Elliot Anderson or just keep Tarkovsky. I don't necessarily see Tarkovsky as a sell this game week, to be honest. I would just keep Tarkovsky. So as mentioned, I just updated the graphics to get the right numbers for the predicted clean sheets this game weekend. Just realized that Everton, they are actually favorites to keep a clean sheet in game week 21. So I think if you have Tarkovsky, I would definitely just play him this game week. Let's see if we can get those new graphics up and running. There we go. So Holland still the favorites. Igor Thiago second with Cunha against Burnley on third. When it comes to clean sheets in game week 21, Everton, they are the favorites to keep a clean sheet, 43%. Brentford is actually second with 42%, while Arsenal, they are usually in the top three, and even though they play against Liverpool, they still are in the top three. They are third with, was it 40%? Arsenal at home, they are a really solid defensive unit. So I think if you have Tarkovsky, Gilo, I would definitely play him this game week. So no big news as of yet. There should be a Man United press conference starting soon. Let's see if we can get some information from that one. Okay, I put Tarkovsky in my wildcard team, but got tempted by Collins and Krupi Jr. for the bench and the possible upgrade on Elliot Anderson. I totally get that. I think it's a Krupi Jr. He's not totally nailed. I know he scored, was it last game week he came on and scored? He's a really good player, but will he play consistently? I think Tavernier from Bournemouth probably is a really good option at the moment, considering the injury to Kluivert and the fact that Semenyo probably will be gone next game week. I think Tavernier is the first choice penalty taker for Bournemouth at the moment. So if you're interested in a Bournemouth player, Tavernier at this point would definitely be my player of choice. So let's see if there are any news from X. Who is the better long-term fixtures, Everton or Brentford? I think let's have a quick look at the fixtures. So this game week we have Brentford playing against Sunderland, then they have Chelsea away, Forest at home, then they have actually some tough fixtures coming up. So in game week 24 away against Aston Villa, in game week 25 away against Newcastle, and in game week 26 they have Arsenal. So 3 really tough game weeks for Brentford, game week 24 to game week 26. On the other hand, let's have a look at Everton. At home against Wolves, away against Aston Villa. Then they have Leeds, Brighton, Fulham, Bournemouth at home, United at home. I definitely prefer Everton's fixtures, to be honest. They have 2 tough games in there. Game week 22 away against Aston Villa, and game week 28 away against Newcastle. But other than this, the Everton fixtures looks really, really good. So Tarkowski, even though he's a bit more expensive, of course, I think he definitely is worth it on a wildcard this game week. Didn't really impress, of course, against Brentford in game week 20. But I think they will turn it around, and I think that Tarkowski will pick up a lot of points in the next upcoming game weeks. It's 1 hour and 16 minutes until the deadline. So, having a quick look to see if there are any more news of interest. So let's have a look at Man United real quick. So Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes still only 50% chance of starting. Return date is on the 7th though, so that's actually tomorrow. So they might get some minutes, but no security of a start in game week 21. Now I'm also thinking Tarkowski or Shalaba, but I'm edging Tarkowski. On a wildcard, you can potentially go for Sanchez, right? Really good value, only priced at 4.9. So covering the Chelsea defense with Sanchez is a really good option at the moment. And Tarkowski, big player for attacking threats, defensive contribution points. As mentioned, really good fixtures coming up as well, so I think I will go Tarkowski on a wildcard. Wilson to Enzo, is it worth it? I think if you have the funds available to upgrade Wilson, it's not like he has. Of course, he scored in game week 20, but they will get players back from AFCON soon as well. He keeps on picking up yellow cards. I think Enzo Fernandez definitely is a better asset compared to Harry Wilson, but is he better value? I think for the Chelsea fixture run, I definitely think we should consider bringing in some of their players. So Wilson to Enzo Fernandez, it's probably a yes from me. Gilo, I agree. Tarkovsky, it is. I think he's a really good option on a wildcard. I have actually made a wildcard video as well, if you're interested. I think it's linked in the description down below. If you need some inspiration, it's 1 hour and 12 minutes until the deadline. Let's have a quick look to see if there are any updates. Thing is that ahead of this game week, there are a lot of questions we need to get answered from Arne Slot and Arteta, but they will not have their press conference ahead of the deadline, so they will most probably have their press conference. At least it's scheduled for tomorrow. How much information we will get from that press conference, I'm not really sure. Arteta is usually not giving away a lot of information. So it's actually a really hard game week to make decisions for Ekitike owners. We talked about this earlier on this stream as well. What to do with Ekitike. Should he start? Should he be benched? Or should he be sold? Vandenberg or Konate to start? Ooh. I think I will go Vandenberg, to be honest. Hope that he starts in game week 21. We haven't really had any information about why he actually was benched and did not play any minutes in game week 20. He might be back for game week 21, who knows. I definitely prefer the fixture playing at home against Sunderland compared to playing away against Arsenal. Munritita, bonsoir. It's a snowy day in Paris today. It has been a snowy day in Norway today as well. It's starting to be a lot of snow. So I actually read something yesterday about the Burnley fixture possibly being postponed because of the weather, but I haven't seen any updates on this, so it's probably going to go ahead as planned. Thanks. No worries. Hopefully Vandenberg can get a start. I'm actually a bit tempted to start Vandenberg myself. I have him in my team, but he's currently on the bench. So for me, the decision is to play Van de Ven or Vandenberg. Any update for Ekitike? So there's still just rumors. Arne Slot confirmed that he will not have any press conference today. The next press conference from Arne Slot and Arteta is scheduled for tomorrow, so we might get some information tomorrow, but it will be too late. The deadline is in 1 hour and 8 minutes, so I'm not sure if we will get any more concrete news. But the thing is that at first they thought that he just had fatigue, but they took a scan and found that he had actually something wrong with his hamstring. Arne Slot said that he possibly could be available to play against Arsenal, but that game is actually 2 days away, so I think it's really hard calling the outcome of the Ekitike injury. But what makes it especially hard with Ekitike at the moment is the fact that they actually play at home against Burnley in game week 22. So I usually don't like having players priced at 9 million on my bench, but when it comes to Ekitike, I think it's actually fine to have him on the bench this game week, especially if you have solid options on your bench. What do you think of Aiden Heaven, 3.9 million? I would start Heaven this game week if I had him in my team, like I will probably do with Dorgu, but I will wait and see what happens with Man United going forward. Harry Maguire can potentially be back soon. Same goes for Delict, and this would probably mean limited minutes for Aiden Heaven going forward. So, of course, if I had him in my team, I would start him, like as mentioned, I said with Dorgu, but I wouldn't transfer in Aiden Heaven ahead of this game week. Start Heaven or Elliot Anderson. I think I would actually start Heaven because of the fixture. So Man United might get a boost from sacking Amorim as well. I think it will be a really interesting game watching Burnley against Man United in game week 21. I'm not really sure if Heaven will start. I'm not really sure if Dorgu will start. We're not really sure. It's mostly guesswork at this point, but at that price, I think it's fine to just start them considering the fixture against Burnley. And it's not like Elliot Anderson has been that great. He's good for Defcon on set pieces for Nottingham Forest. West Ham have looked bad, but I think actually after giving this a second thought, 3.9 Aiden Heaven, you wouldn't really be that bothered if you had 6 points from Aiden Heaven on your bench, right? If they keep a clean sheet against Burnley. Elliot Anderson, you will most probably pick up defensive contribution points. Can potentially get an attacking return from taking corners for Nottingham Forest. So I think actually Elliot Anderson is a bit better than Aiden Heaven in game week 21. After giving this, as mentioned, a second thought, I think that would be my final answer on that one. Erling Haaland, I can't really remember last time he was a big favorite like he is in the poll at the moment. 81% for Erling Haaland, 8% for Thiago, 6 Cunha, and 4 have voted for other. I think my team is pretty close to locked in. Triple up on Arsenal at home against Liverpool. Of course, on paper, it doesn't really look that great playing at home against Liverpool, but Arsenal, really good form, and Liverpool, they haven't really looked that great this season so far. I will start Dorgu. I will start Van de Ven. I have the option of starting Vandenberg, but considering that he did not start, he did not play at all in game week 20, I think it makes sense to just start Van de Ven. I don't have any Bournemouth attackers, so hopefully Spurs can keep a clean sheet. In midfield, I will have Phil Foden, Rice, Saka, and Anthony Gordon. I can actually see Newcastle starting with Murphy and Barnes with Nick Foltemade. So this can potentially mean that Anthony Gordon will be benched and only play 20 to 30 minutes this game week. So my advice would be to start Gordon if you have him, but don't really consider transferring Anthony Gordon into your team this game week. Up front, I will have Thiago and Erling Haaland as captain, and I have Jared Bowen playing against Nottingham Forest as well. So on the bench, Dubravka against Man United, Anderson against West Ham, Vandenberg against Sunderland, and Van Hecke. He will definitely stay last on my bench with a really tough fixture traveling to the Etihad Stadium to play against Man City. 2 free transfers, 0.2. We'll probably just save and have 3 free transfers heading into game week 22. Kindest greetings, mates. Thanks for joining in. How are you? And are you ready for game week 21? It's 1 hour and 1 minute until the deadline. So if you're interested in having your team reviewed, head over to X, post a picture under my latest post over there. Let's see. So scroll down, find this one, the game week 21 deadline stream. Head into the comments and post a picture of your team selection and we'll get it up on the screen. Who are the best under 4 million defenders, do you think? From the top of my head, I think Gudmundsson priced at 3.8 probably is best value, especially if you don't need to play him week in, week out. He actually had a big chance in game week 20 as well. Could have actually had a goal. I'm not that confident in Aiden Heaven's minutes going forward. So it will probably be Gudmundsson from Leeds. Play 3, Cash, Guehi, or Tarkovsky. I would definitely start Tarkovsky, possibly Cash as well, considering that Aston Villa, they are one of the informed teams at the moment. So Crystal Palace, of course, Guehi, solid option, but they have played so many games. They have looked really tired in the last couple of games. So I think I would bench Guehi for game week 21, to be honest. Who are your next transfer targets? So let's have a quick look at my team. So this is my team at the moment. We'll probably just save a transfer. My next moves will probably be to actually sell Igor Thiago. He will play against Chelsea, my goalkeeper, in game week 22. We'll possibly sell Saka as well, and Dorgu. I will get Gabriel in defense. I will try to fit in Cole Palmer, and this would mean getting the cheapest player in FPL at the moment. The Burnley forward Barnes, only priced at 4.2, so he will definitely be last on my bench for almost every game week. So Thiago, Saka, Dorgu, to Gabriel, Palmer, and Barnes. So I will have Barnes on the bench most game weeks. I will have a rotation between Van Hecke, Van de Ven, and Elliot Anderson. So on the bench, I will have Barnes and Vandenberg most game weeks. Best under 6 million defenders. I already have Tarkovsky. Thinking Thiago, O'Reilly, Collins, or Chalobah. I think Lewis Hall is a shout as well. Collins, good option, 4.9. Of course, if you think Thiago will continue scoring goals, he is definitely a shout as well. The thing is that they will have Botman back soon as well. Both Trippier, Livramento, and Botman will come back soon, but I think Thiago will play most minutes. Same goes for Lewis Hall. I think Collins probably is a really good option as well. So we did discuss Tarkovsky versus Collins. I think Tarkovsky is the best option, but Collins is a really good FPL asset as well. Will Bruno play, and how many goals does he get? I'm not really sure if Bruno will play. So there are some rumors that Bruno Fernandes can potentially play some minutes in game week 21. Will he start? I'm not really sure. I think I would wait until game week 22 on bringing in Bruno Fernandes. So my plan is, as mentioned, to have this team in game week 22. I will consider to do something later to bring in Bruno Fernandes for Phil Foden as well. Wish Malhotra, would you do Ekitike to Watkins this week? I actually like the Ekitike to Watkins transfer. The thing is that Ekitike might come in handy for game week 22. Of course, Liverpool playing at home against Burnley. It might actually be a good captain punt that game week. But it kind of depends. Of course, if he totally misses out this game week, if it's something wrong with his hamstring, he might actually miss game week 22 as well. Things that we're not really sure. We won't have any concrete news from Arne Slot before the deadline, so he will have a press conference tomorrow, but this will be too late for game week 21. So 9 million on the bench, it's a lot of money. So if you want to use a transfer on selling Ekitike to bring in Watkins, I think it's actually perfectly fine. If you decide to bench Ekitike and have him ready and hope that he will play against Burnley in game week 22, I think this is perfectly fine as well. Double Arsenal attack or defense? Probably double Arsenal defense at this point. I think the only viable options from Arsenal, it's probably Saka and Rice, right? And there are a lot of good options coming up with Cole Palmer, really good fixtures for Chelsea. Bruno Fernandes will be back, so if you want to keep Erling Haaland, it will be really hard to fit in Erling Haaland and Cole Palmer, Saka, Bruno Fernandes. I think your other players will suffer a bit from having all of those premium options. So I think having a double defense from Arsenal is probably the best option at the moment. So if you're interested in having your team reviewed, head over to X, post a picture under this post. Let's upgrade and see if there are any new teams on this one. So Wish Malhotra, we have that one up. We have this one as well. Mikey Summer, let's have a look at that team as well. It's probably this one at first, Mats, 7 minutes ago, and then we'll have a look at Mikey Sumner after this one. So no texts. So let me know if you're in the chat. So there is actually a message under this one. Give me a minute. Let's see. Like this. Do you support a Prem team from Sunny? Yeah, actually support Man United. Have done for a while. Ever since they had some Norwegian players back in the 90s. So Edwin FIFA, did I actually answer your question? Best under 6 million defenders, Tarkovsky. I think it's between Collins, Thiago, and Hall at the moment. Jalo, I'm Mikey. I've just put my team in there in 2 gaps missing. Just want your opinion before I finish it. I'm Mikey. Let's have a look. This. So, Mats, let me know in the comment in the chat if you're still here. Let's have a look at Mikey's team in the meantime. So 2 free spots in this team. It's a wildcard, free transfers, unlimited, 9.3 million available. I'm here to bench. I just missed. I'm really sorry, Mats. Let's just be done with this team as well. It's Mikey's team. 2 free spots in this team. It has 9.3 available. It's not that much. I think I will probably go for you already have Gudmundsson in. And you already have the 4.2 Barnes in as well, so you would like to have a couple of players starting in those positions. Let's see. Tarkovsky 5.7, Tiav 5.1. I think I would potentially go for an Arsenal defender and downgrade Saka to someone like Bruno Guimaraes, and this will give you more funds for that last midfield spot as well. So I would actually consider downgrading Saka to, let's say, Bruno Guimaraes, because you already have Barnes in your team. He will be on the bench most game weeks. You have Gudmundsson. Of course, he will possibly continue starting, but it's not really reliable Leeds defender. So to give some solid cover on the bench, I would actually double up on Arsenal defense and go for Bruno Guimaraes and another midfielder. At least that's my first thoughts when looking at this team. I think that filling those two spots with only 9 million, of course you can go for the cheapest midfielder and solid defender, but try to tinker with downgrading Saka and see what you can do with those 3 open spots. I think Barnes, Gudmundsson should be on the bench most game weeks. So if you go for 9 million filling those 2 spots, I think your team potentially can be a bit weak, especially if you pick up an injury or a suspension. You will be forced into making transfers because you can't really trust Barnes to start in your 11. So try to see what you can do without Saka. Terribly sorry, Mats, you were actually first in line, so let's have a look at your team. Who to bench from this team? Let's see. Raya in goal, Gabriel, so a double up on the Arsenal defense. Dorgu, I think it's fine to just start Dorgu. Will Keane is in there. Michael Keane is in there as well. Phil Foden, Shirky, Holland, all of them should definitely start. Cunha, Saka, Thiago. So on the bench we have Anderson against Chelsea. Virgil van Dijk. You have Van Dijk playing against Saka, so considering Liverpool's form, I actually think it makes sense, even though he is one of the most expensive defenders. I think it actually makes sense to bench Van Dijk this game week. Lewis Miley playing against Leeds could be a solid fixture for him. He has picked up a couple of assists, actually scored on a corner as well, so I think this team probably is spot on. I think I would have something similar with those players. Gabriel, Raya. It's confirmed that Keane is fine to start in game week 21, so he should definitely start. Triple up on Man City is fine at home against Brighton. Thiago against Sunderland. Holland captain. I really like this team, to be honest, so So we got confirmation about Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount. Darren Fletcher said Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount, they are actually fit enough to get some minutes in game week 21, but their minutes will be managed. They're pushing to start to play against Leeds. The decision was that they weren't quite ready, so they trained. They should be back in the squad, but they'll be on managed minutes as well. Restricted minutes because obviously they just returned to training. So no big news on Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes ahead of game week 21, to be honest. This was actually the news we had a couple of days ago, so nothing new on Bruno Fernandes, and I would definitely wait another game week to bring in Bruno. I took Saka out and I put Bruno Guimaraes and Rodgers in. Now I have 4.7 for a defender. Any suggestions? I think that probably will give you a more balanced team, to be honest. Sell Wirtz for Rice. Yes, I would do that. Even though Wirtz, he has actually delivered recently, but considering that Rice and Arsenal are in much, much better form, and Arsenal playing at home against Liverpool in game week 21, I think it definitely makes sense to do Wirtz to Rice. So Jarlo, let's have a quick look at your team and the open spots, how this looks with Bruno Guimaraes and Rodgers. So let's see. This team now has, in the Saka spot, it's Bruno Guimaraes, and in the last midfield spot, we have Rodgers. So we will start and play a 3-5-2. You will start Thiago, Gabriel, Tarkowski most game weeks, Gudmundsson, Barnes. So what you need is really a bench option. I'm not sure if you have to spend all of the budgets, to be honest. Let's have a look at some possible options in defense. 4.7. You can potentially get in someone like Van Hecke, Ding, 4.5. And save 0.2. I think this probably is the way to go with your wildcard team. I'll send it back in 1 second. Should I double Arsenal defense or go Bruno G and Rodgers? Things that you can't afford Bruno G and Rodgers, right? If you go for double Arsenal defense. Things that I really like those options: Bruno Guimaraes, Rodgers, really high expected minutes for both of them. Of course, double Arsenal defense will be really popular going forward, so you already have Gabriel. He is probably the most important Arsenal defender to own. You can potentially go for a bit cheaper midfielders, double up on the Arsenal defense with Gabriel and potentially Timber. But how much will you have for that last midfield spot if you go for an Arsenal defender? I prefer Sunderland defender. Let's see. Orange Apple, hi, thanks for joining in. Hey bro, start one out of Ekitiki, Soboslai, Van Dijk, Anderson, and Lewis Smiley. So we start 2. I prefer a Sunderland defender over Tarkovsky personally. So Gilo, message from Orange Apple. It's possible to have both in this team, of course. You can have Tarkovsky and someone like Alderete or Michele and Saka to Bruno G and Rodgers in that last spot will give you a solid team. Of course, only 2 Arsenal players, but it's probably fine. But let's have a look at this. So a triple up on Liverpool, Orange Apple. I don't think that Van Dijk will do well in this game. I think Arsenal will score. And Louis Smiley, home against Leeds. Anderson playing against Chelsea. It's not the most luxurious options for Orange Apple. I think I would start. So the players that definitely will start this game, it's Van Dijk and Szoboszlai and Anderson. There are some slight doubts considering Ekitiki's fitness, right? Same goes for Louis Smiley. He can potentially be rested. So yesterday we discussed, there were some Newcastle fans on the Q&A last night saying that they thought that Louis Smiley potentially could play in midfield ahead of Joe Linton, but nothing confirmed on this. So I think I would actually start Szoboszlai, considering that he is on some set pieces for Liverpool. He has more routes to FPL points, so Szoboszlai he should probably start. And if you don't have any if you don't have any Chelsea attackers, then probably Joachim Andersen. Yeah, really bad week for me in terms of fixtures, hoping to not get too badly hurt in terms of rank. So hopefully you can get a small green arrow. Of course you can, with a bit of luck. Even though the fixtures are not the best, it can potentially be a good game week, of course. But hopefully you will not get a big red arrow. If I put Timber in with Bruno G, I have 6 million left for the last mid spot. And if I put Rodgers in, I have 5.5. So another option is, of course, to go for Garner in that last midfield spot. So in defense, Timber, Bruno G, and Garner. You have actually the option to go Timber, Rodgers, and Garner as well. Probably that's even better, considering that Aston Villa, they have some really good fixtures coming up as well, Aston Villa. So play against a tired Crystal Palace in game week 21. Then they have Everton at home in game week 22. Newcastle away, not the best fixture in game week 23, but then they have Brentford, Bournemouth, Brighton at home, Leeds at home, and then Wolves in game week 28. So Timber in that last defender spot, Rodgers in for Saka, and Garner in that last midfield spot. I think this will give really good cover on the bench as well. You will have Garner as an option on your bench, and you will have Gudmundsson at least a starter, and then you have Barnes last on your bench. So you can like rotate and play Garner when the likes of Thiago, Tarkovsky, and they have really tough games. If Everton have a tough game, I would probably go for a 3-5-2 and play Thiago, Gabriel, and Timber with Tarkovsky on the bench and Garner in my starting 11. So Orange Apple, back to your question, I think I would start Soboslai, to be honest, because of the set pieces. Ekitiki, I've talked about this a couple of times. 9 million on the bench, that's a lot, but I think it actually is okay this game week because of the fixture in game week 22 at home against Burnley. So benching those expensive players, it actually is not the worst idea because they have the toughest fixture this game week and they have probably the best fixture in game week 22. So Ekitiki, Van Dijk, Lewis Miley on the bench, Soboslai, Anderson in defense. So Fulham, they are actually pretty decent defensively. We know that Anderson, he is one of the players that picks up a lot of defensive contribution points. He can get attacking returns as well, of course. If you don't have any Chelsea attackers, it might be worth a punt. Okay, I'll double up on the Arsenal defense. I think at least this is a really solid option and you can actually play them every game week. They can keep a clean sheet against anyone. Both of them, Timber and Gabriel, they can pick up attacking returns. We saw that Timber, he can pick up defensive contribution points as well as he did in game week 20. So solid options, both of them, and they are close to being fixture proof. So really solid options on a wildcard. See if there's more information from the Man United press conference. We know at this point that Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount, they will be in the squad, but they will have their minutes managed. I definitely think that Bruno Fernandes can wait until game week 22. Manu, De Ligt, Maguire all look set to miss out once more. We still have Mbumo, Diallo and Masraoui away on international duty. So hopefully Dorgu will start. At least he's in my starting 11 for game week 21. So this is my team at the moment. No transfers made. Will most probably just save a transfer heading into game week 23. This will give me 3 free transfers for the next game week. Only 0.2. If I had more funds available, I would probably look at a way to bring in Gabriel this game week. But for me, it would involve selling Saka. And I would like to have 3 free transfers heading into game week 22. So I've decided to just have some patience and play this team this game week. 28 minutes left until the deadline. Haaland, he is a big favorite. He was yesterday as well. So best captain for game week 21, Erling Haaland is on 84%. Thiago 7, Cunha 5, and others 3%. So Erling Haaland, even if he has blanked in 3 consecutive game weeks, he is the bookie's favorite for anytime goal scorer. 49% for the Man City game at home against Brighton. So Erling Haaland, he will most probably be my captain as well. I haven't really changed this since setting up my team right after the game week 20 team got locked in. Charlie, thanks for joining in. Hi TFS, what would you do with Mateus Fernandes from West Ham? So if you have Mateus Fernandes in your team at the moment, I would potentially consider replacing him with someone like Garner from Everton. At least that's my first thought at that price point. Jarlo, but if I did put Bruno G and Rodgers and didn't double up on Arsenal defense, I would have 4.7 for a defender. Who would you get? So with that 4.7, I think the best defenders at that price point at the moment is probably Cash from Aston Villa or potentially Van Hecke from Brighton. And this player will most game weeks stay on your bench, so I think just having a 4.5 defender on the bench as bench cover is probably enough. You will have Gudmundsson on the bench as well, and Barnes will probably, hopefully, never have to be in your starting 11. So a bench with a 4.5 starting defender, Cash, potentially Van Hecke, and Gudmundsson 3.8 leads defender. I think this is good enough for bench cover. And of course, having Bruno, Guimaraes, and Rodgers, I think they are really good options as well. So your decision, but I think both doubling up with Timber, but also going for Bruno Guimaraes and Rodgers, both really good options. Let's have a quick look on X. FPL Lisa, should I play Ekitike or Gravenberch? It's a really hard question. There are a lot of questions about Ekitike. The thing is that we're not really sure if he will start. Will he get 20 minutes or will he miss out completely? We will not get any more information from Arne Slot because he has a scheduled press conference tomorrow, and this will be, of course, after the deadline. The thing is that Gravenberch, he will definitely start. Can, of course, get something from that game, defensive contributions as well. So I think that starting Gravenberch is probably the safest option. Ekitike, the most explosive option, but it would be really annoying having 9 million on your bench if Ekitike scores. So I think I would just start Ekitike, to be honest. But be prepared that he might actually only play like 20-15 minutes. So there have been a lot of questions about selling players like Ekitike as well. I think it's perfectly fine to sell him, but I think it's perfectly fine to just keep him as well, considering the fixture in game week 22. Potentially a really good captain punt in game week 22 playing at home against Burnley. So really tough question from FPL Lisa. So only 23 minutes until the deadline. I think my team is pretty much locked in. Captaincy on Erling Haaland. FPL, I will sell him to get Cole Palmer in game week 22. So we will sell Ekitike to fund Cole Palmer in game week 22. I think if you're going to sell Ekitike in game week 22 when they play against Burnley at home, I think I would just sell Ekitike this game week, to be honest, if you have decided to sell Ekitike next week. Solid fixture for Cole Palmer this game week, so I think it makes sense to do this transfer this game week, even if it's for a -4, to be honest. Hello, FPL TFS with one free transfer. Will you do Ekitike to Watkins or just roll and start one of Stuck or Vandenberg, cash and bench Ekitike? So another similar question with Ekitike involved. I think selling Ekitike this game week is perfectly fine. Away against Arsenal, it is an injury risk. He might not start, will probably not start. And you probably have a couple of Arsenal defenders, so a really tough question, but I like Ollie Watkins. He is one of the players with the best stats as well, and he has looked much sharper in the last couple of game weeks. Aston Villa have done well. I think actually I like the transfer Ekitike to Watkins if you have decided to sell or bench Ekitike this game week. Of course, I have said this a couple of times as well. They have a solid fixture in game week 22, but if you're not going to captain Ekitike in game week 22, it makes sense to actually just get rid of this game week. Just put my updated team in Twitter. Okay, let's have a look. Blanky, hey mate, start Sanchez or Dubravka? I'd say Sanchez. He is yellow flag, but I think he will start, and if he doesn't start, he will probably just stay on the bench. So for my own team, at least I'm starting Sanchez, so that would have to be my answer on that question, as I actually have the exact same goalkeepers at the moment. Gilo, let's have a quick look at your updated wildcard. So we have been discussing Gilo's wildcard. Let's see if we can get this back. So this was the old one. Let's have a look at the updated version. I need to refresh this one. Here we go. Wildcard active. I like the structure of this team a bit more than the first one, to be honest. The bench will, you will avoid having a lot of benching headaches going forward, because you will start Sanchez most games. So let's just scroll a bit up. You will start Sanchez most games considering the Chelsea fixtures coming up. Thiago Gabriel Tarkovsky in defense. Midfield 5, Cherky, Rice, Phil Foden, Rodgers, and Bruno G. Holland, Ekitike. And you will have Van Hecke, Gudmundsson, and Barnes. And Barnes, he will be on the bench most game weeks. Ekitike is in. We'll have him ready for game week 22 home fixture against Burnley. Really powerful midfield, and you have some players in there that potentially can turn into Bruno Fernandes in a couple of game weeks. So I wouldn't get Bruno Fernandes this game week, but you can potentially upgrade Phil Foden to Bruno Fernandes in a couple of game weeks as well. Blanky, which one to start? Wilson, Elliot Anderson, or Tarkovsky? I think I would go for Tarkovsky, to be honest. Home game against Wolves, can pick up attacking returns in that one. I would go Tarkovsky with Wilson first bench. A really strong team if you have to bench one of those, or bench two of those players. But I think I would start Tarkovsky, to be honest. So in the graphics on the right hand side, you can actually see that Everton, they are the bookie's favorite to keep a clean sheet this game week. Home game against Wolves. Fred White, start to Szoboszlai, Miley, or Mukiele. I think it kind of depends. If you have Igor Thiago, I would definitely start Szoboszlai and Miley. If you don't own Igor Thiago, I would actually consider benching Szoboszlai, as you most probably have a couple of Arsenal defenders, right? So Miley is in the predicted starting 11 for Newcastle. There are actually some rumors about Miley starting in midfield as well, and that Joe Linton actually might be benched for game week 21. So if you don't own Igor Thiago, I would actually go for Mukiele in game week 21. I think I'm settled with that. The Arsenal double up is tempting, but that midfield is too powerful. I kind of agree. I think this midfielder looks really good. Bruno Guimaraes, home against Leeds. Rodgers playing against a tired Crystal Palace away. And of course, with this team structure, it's not that hard to if you're able to save a couple of transfers, you can always switch to a double Arsenal defense by selling Thiago or Tarkovsky and downgrading one of your midfielders. One to bench from Thiago, Faltmade, or Enzo Fernandez. I would definitely start Thiago at home against Sunderland. Faltmade, he hasn't started the last two games. I think that if Faltmade starts, he will play 60 minutes. So probably him. The thing is that I would stay away from Faltmade and Visa while both are fit. It's like the forwards for Everton. Exactly. Thank you, bro. No worries. Hopefully this team will do well. Will be really interesting to see what happens with Ekitike this game week on Thursday. It's close to 12 minutes left until the deadline. So let's see if there are any updates. Let's have a quick look at X as well. I think going forward, my team is pretty good. Definitely a solid team. Of course, on the bench, it doesn't really look that great because Van Hecke has a really tough fixture this game week. But going forward, Brighton, they have some solid games as well. So you might actually be tempted to actually play Van Hecke and bench Thiago or Tarkovsky when they have tougher fixtures. So I think this team is really good structure. You will have Barnes on the bench every game week, and you will have Gudmundsson, the cheapest starting player in FPL at the moment. So this is a solid team in my opinion. So I don't really think we will have any early team news this game week. The thing is that there's only one game tonight. It's the West Ham against Nottingham Forest game. I think I've asked this, but Van Hecke or Cash, I think it's really hard to decide between them. But considering the Aston Villa, just give me a minute. I'll have a quick look at the fixtures to see who rotates well with Thiago. Give me a minute. So we have to put in Newcastle and Brighton. So probably let's see, Brighton and Aston Villa as well. Aston Villa. So with your team, I would actually prefer having Van Hecke in game week 23. You will avoid having to play Thiago against Aston Villa and Rodgers. And in this game, you can actually play Van Hecke against Fulham. So you will make the benching decision a bit easier in a couple of game weeks if you go for Van Hecke. As mentioned, I don't really think there's much between them. But Van Hecke is good for defensive contributions, and he is a big attacking threat at set pieces as well. So I think probably Van Hecke edges it for me this game week. So I said this as well. It doesn't really look that great this game week because of the fixture against Man City, but the fixtures will be better for Brighton going forward. And in game week 23, you have the option to bench Thiago and play Van Hecke in game week 23. You will have Van Hecke against Fulham and Thiago on the bench to avoid having Thiago play against Rodgers. So if you had cash, you had to play cash against Bruno G in that game week. So that's the reason why I would go Van Hecke with your team. So it's only 7 minutes until the deadline. It's time to make those last decisions. And if you haven't done so already, please consider giving the stream a like. That would be really appreciated and would help with the reach. If you haven't subscribed, if you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing as well. Definitely dropping a sub. That's really, really appreciated. So at the moment, let's see my subscriber count. It has been going up recently, so it's 3,279. It's probably up to 3,280 at this point. That's amazing. Six minutes left until deadline. Please let me know if you want my opinion on any 50-50 decisions ahead of the deadline. We probably have time for one last really quick team review. I don't really have any concerns about my team. Don't really have any decisions to make at this point. So we probably have time for one last team review if anyone's interested. Just subscribed. Really appreciate it. So let's have a look at the league as well. We have the time for a quick look at the mini league. So we have this league called the TFS Live League. So if you're interested in joining that one, the link is in the description down below. TFS Live League. There we go. Flying Peaky is on the top. Let's see if we can get this a bit smaller. Like that. There we go. This is the TFS Live League standings at the moment. Flying Peaky, James Pitt second. I'm actually third. Gone past FPL FOMO in game week 20. Edwin is fifth. We have Taj and Magnus. We have not Fake anymore. The thing is that there are a lot of teams in here that don't really resonate with your YouTube username. So scream out if you find yourself on the list. And if you're interested in joining the league, the link is in the description down below and also in the scrolling text at the bottom. So if you're interested in joining, go ahead. Start one, Soboslai, Timber or Anderson. I think I would start Timber this game week. Hayden, who would you bring in? Barry, Beto, Visa or Voltmother? I don't really like any of them because you mentioned the problem in the chat, because Beto will steal minutes from Barry. Visa will steal minutes from Voltmother. So at that price point, I would probably go for someone else. Calvert-Lewin possibly. Thoughts on Harry Wilson to Garner? if you think Harry Wilson's time is up at this point, it probably makes sense to downgrade to Garner. Really good fixtures for Everton on set pieces. It's only priced at 5.1, right? Or 5.2 possibly. But it will let you upgrade in other areas. So saving that 0.5 or 0.6. I think it kind of depends on how many transfers you have at this point. If you only have 1 or 2 free transfers, I think I would probably just save. But if you have like 3-4 transfers, doing that move, Harry Wilson to Garner, is probably good for your team going forward. Thoughts on my team for this week? It's Sanchez in goal, Thiago, O'Reilly, Senesi, Schade, Foden, Saka, Garner in midfield, and Haaland, Jared Bowen, Thiago up front. So same front three as me: Haaland, Jared Bowen, Thiago. In midfield, Saka, Foden, Schade. So a double up on Brentford, playing at home against Sunderland. This could be a good game week. So Senesi, O'Reilly, Thiago. Solid team. I would look at a possibility to bring in an Arsenal defender. The thing is that without any Arsenal defensive cover, your rank will take a hit if they keep a clean sheet. So, of course, it's not needed this game week. So, Liverpool, they can, of course, score against Arsenal. But Arsenal, they are the best defense, and they have some really good defenders with attacking threat as well. So, I joined the league. Thanks. Nice. We'll keep track of this league going forward. So I always have a Friday night Q&A ahead of the deadlines, when the deadline is on a Saturday, of course. But I always have a Q&A the night before the deadline. And when I find the time, I have deadline streams like this, and I always post weekly team selection videos and tips when it comes to wildcards and free hits and stuff like that. So if you're interested, subscribe to the channel, as Gilo just did. It's only 45 seconds left until deadline. Time to lock in your teams, football and stuff. Hopefully this will be a green arrow. I reckon you're captaining Erling Haaland, right? At least Erling Haaland is a big favorite in the poll this afternoon. It's 85%. Thiago 8, Cunha 4, and others 3%. Everton, they are the favorites to keep a clean sheet. Erling Haaland, he is the bookie's favorite for any time goal scorer. The game is locked. So the deadline has passed. Nothing more we can do with our teams for game week 21. Erling Haaland, he won the vote. He will also be my captain this game week. 71 votes in the poll. Erling Haaland, the winner with 85%. So best of luck, everyone, in game week 21. Hopefully there will be a lot of green arrows. Oops. So best of luck, as mentioned, for game week 21. Hopefully I'll see you on the next stream. I think it will be the game week 22 deadline is actually some days away now, so we will probably be next Friday. But I will post tips on transfers and my team selection ahead of game week 22. So pay attention and watch those videos to support the channel. Thanks all for joining in. Have a nice week, and as mentioned, hopefully you'll get a green arrow in game week 21.